we're going to introduce to you, for the first time, our 2023 inductees for the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. And for the first time in the history of the Hall of Fame, we're going to induct a brother and a sister.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Richard DeWitt and Jackie DeWitt Rowland were both awesome racers back then in the early mid-70s. And she won a World Series, and Dickie won 3 World Series in a row. Yeah.
That's impressive.
And unfortunately, the family lost Dick at a very early age. He was only 17 years old, and he was involved in a bad car accident and was killed.
Wow.
And he was on his way to probably become another Brad Hewlings or Herb Yancey. The kid was just awesome.
Wow.
And but they were both awesome drivers back then. It was an independent team, family run team, and big names back then, the DeWitts. So that's our first inductee, going by alphabetical order. And our next one is Richard DeSantis. Big name back then, Richard DeSantis. I won't go over details on their resumes. You will be able to go to Crane Snowmobile Museum site online, and they will be in there, and you can read all about each one's resume. So that was Richard DeSantis. All good-looking kids too, don't you think?
Yeah.
Handsome, beautiful.
Yeah, they had everything going.
They had everything going. They had the talent. They had the looks.
Yes.
And here's Frank Dodge. Frank is a local racer from Littleton, New Hampshire. And so he raced for Timberland Machines back in the day. And he's New Hampshire's only #1 bib holder during the golden era.
Wow.
Frank had #1 bib for 1973.
Wow.
Yeah. And, or 70, was it 73 or 74? I can't remember now, but anyway, I'll have to read it. And I'm the one that wrote up the recipes.
Huh.
So, but go online on Crane Snowmobile Museum, and you can read all these guys' resumes. And but Frank was certainly one of the top drivers back then, and another Timberland Machines member on the wall. And finally, we have Everett Regal. And Everett is probably in the top 2% on everybody's short list of engine geniuses back in the day. He made it. He did things with 2-cycle engines that people didn't think was possible. And he had the team called the Widowmakers. And Kenny Young was one of the team members, and so was Chip Elwood was on the Widowmakers team. And they did extremely well back then. And a lot of it was due to Everett Regal's ingenious methods of making those 2-strokes go faster than anybody else. So there's Everett.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. There's your 5 2023 inductees. You'll see more, hear more about it in the future, and we'll have our induction next September for an outdoor ceremony, September 10th. No, excuse me, September 9th.
9th.
Yeah, this last year was 10th. September 9th, Saturday. Usually start around 1:30. And if you want to come to that, you will see a lot of the older members that are already on the wall, and be able to shake their hands and talk to them. And these are the guys that we used to look up to. Let's face it, us New England kids didn't have any big sports figures coming to Lancaster or any of these small towns. These guys did. You can watch Richard Petty race at Daytona on television on ABC Wide World of Sports. You can watch the basketball players, the hockey players on television from Boston and New York. And but none of those guys ever came to Lancaster.
True.
These guys came, most of them, or Boonville, New York, or Bangor, Maine.
Yeah.
And they signed your autographs. And they thought we'd forgotten them, but they're finding out we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I can add to that, going into our 7th year with this Hall of Fame reunion, Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Yeah.
This has turned into a reunion for
Yeah.
anyone who's associated with or interested in Eastern racing, Eastern snowmobile racing.
Their
Because,
family reunion.
yeah,
Mike is right.
inductees past, present, and future show up, and anyone interested or have memories
Yeah.
of this, it's turned into a reunion kind of a situation. So
Yeah.
it's wonderful to see these awards given out. They're certainly worthy of them, and it's a wonderful thing. But the other byproduct of this that maybe no one had anticipated is that it's a wonderful reunion. It's a community,
It
and
is.
we all have a wonderful time visiting and sharing stories and laughing.
Yeah.
It's a very jovial time, and if you're interested in this sort of thing, it's something you don't want to miss.
This is something that you need to really soak right up now, too, because these people are in their mid-70s, early 80s now.
Yes, the clock is ticking.
If you miss any of these inductions now, you may not see these guys again. Really. I hate to say it, but we've lost a couple now already. So if you watch these guys when you were kids, 20-somethings, teenagers, and they're in the flesh. They're right here. They're at Cranes every fall for these inductions.
Yeah.
And you stand back and you listen to these guys talking amongst each other and talking racing and the one that they missed and the accident and the guy pushed them off the track and they're laughing about it now because it's part of the history and it's a family reunion. Mike was right. It's more than an induction. It's a family reunion.
Yeah.
And
I think the bonds grow deeper with every passing year.
Yeah.
Because we all get to know each other better, and we look forward to seeing each other, and it's like seeing old friends. It really is a reunion.
It is. It is. And social media. Say what you want about social media. I know there's a lot of things wrong with social media, but the things that are right about it is these folks are now being able to connect with each other on a daily basis.
Yeah. On the Hall of Fame Facebook
site.
group is a wonderful place for people to reconnect.
Wonderful place.
People are finding each other that
They're finding old photos.
Yeah, they haven't seen each other in 50 plus years, and they're finding each other. And
they are, and it's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And to be a part of that, it's something pretty special as far as I'm concerned. So
it is, and the atmosphere or the vibe, if you will, at the ceremony is very laid back and very intimate. So you can approach these people and say hi and ask them questions, get a photo taken. It's not like they're on this high pedestal and you're down below and they're not accessible to you.
Yeah.
You can mix and mingle and visit with them, and it's
if
wonderful.
you have an old photo of them that you need need them to sign, you bring a Sharpie, and these people are willing and to sign any autographs for you and to stand there and visit with you, and it's all personable, and it's a great little event.
Yeah, and one other thing to add, if you're planning to drive from any distance to attend this, the place to stay is the Lancaster Motel. Yeah, and I stayed there last night. I can personally vouch for the quality experience that it is to stay there.
Yeah, it's an Art Deco 1950s motel.
Yeah.
The Berriman family has kept it that way. They purposely have kept that era alive, and that is where Bob Eastman stayed.
Yes,
that's where Joe Villeneuve stayed. It's where the Bombardier team, the Polaris team, the Arctic Cat team, they all stayed at the Lancaster Motel. They all went back to the Lancaster Motel and went into the lounge and had a few drinks with each other after the races was over. And like I've said many times, they race handle to handlebar all day long and drink elbow to elbow all night long. And and they've been known also to go back to the motel rooms and maybe take an engine off the chassis, take it right in the room, and rebuild it for the next day too. So the place is loaded with history of the snowmobile.
Yeah, and they used to do the award ceremony right there. They give out the trophies right there in the lobby.
Yeah, that was actually the headquarters of the Grand Prix.
And if someone is thinking about doing some Eastern trail riding and combining history with some trail riding, you're staying at one of the most historic places. You're riding on the trails created by the first snowmobile club in America. Many of those legacy trails still exist.
Still exist, And
then, of course, you're a short walk from Crane's Snowmobile Museum. It's by appointment only, so once you book your room, you want to call Crane's Snowmobile Museum and make make an appointment to go by there.
Just 2 blocks away, and you're there.
So if you want to combine some Eastern trail riding with some amazing history, and right behind the motel, of course, is the site of where the first ski-doos were imported into the U.S.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So loaded with history. The Lancaster Motel, Lancaster itself. And
if buildings could see, the motel saw that truck pass by it, were the very first Bombardier Skidoo to come into the United States in 1959.
Yeah, if someone knew the gravity of what was going on as that truck went by, what that would turn into.
Nobody thought a thing about it. Nobody thought a thing about it. It's crazy.
Looking back on it, it's
now,
it's amazing.
It's too bad somebody wasn't there with a camera. Filming the event. And,
drum rolls and
and interviews with Paul Crane, and it wasn't anything like that. It really wasn't.
Fireworks and fanfare.
What the heck is this expensive toy you've got here?
Right.
It was like $900 or $1,000 for a toy.
Yeah.
That's what they looked at. See this little tiny machine here, And
it's
Bob Bottoms
fun.
couldn't sell that sled. That original sled could not be sold that year. Nobody wanted to pay that much money for something like that.
Wow.
And a guy by the name of David Red Parks
Yep.
came in, and he says to Bob Bottoms, who was the manager at Timberland Machines, he said, tell you what I'll do. He says, I've got a wood lot in east of town, and I'll trade you that wood lot for that contraption. So the only way they got rid of that first sled was trading for a wood lot.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And later on, in '66, Bob Bottoms approached him, and he offered him a brand new 10-horse Skidoo in the crate in exchange for that first original Skidoo. And Timberland's restored that, and he donated it to the New Hampshire Snowmobile Museum down in Allenstown.
Yes.
So that's still
That
the
still
first
exists.
Skidoo to come in the United States. Is still in New Hampshire, and it's in Allenstown.
Is that what Bob Bottoms was thinking at the time, the historic possibility with this? That it's important to have that first one to...
He was a far thinker.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the minute
visionary.
the minute he saw that sled being ridden up in Falcourt by Paul Crane, Bob Adair was looking at that originally as something for trappers, large logging operations, and so instead of having dog sleds, the trappers could use these little snowmobiles and go run trap lines with them. Bob Bottoms saw a recreational boom.
And it did. It did exactly that. The
You
boom
can see
exploded
it explode.
all over the snow belt. Yes.
They were
and there was
selling
shrapnel everywhere.
Timberland was selling over 10,000 snowmobiles out of this little small town in the mid-'60s, early '70s. They had to build a whole new building up at the head of Main Street, and I don't know if you guys saw that little clip Mike and I did here a while ago, but it was a crazy time. But anyway, the people that raced them, and their names were on every Monday morning newspaper in the snow belt.
That was big news.
Big news. They've got their own Hall of Fame now. So
Yeah. That's cool.
yeah.
Cool.
All right, Mike. Thanks for doing this for us, and we'll see you on the podcast.
Sounds good. Thank you.
We've got Mike LaPierre, folks, a guy that helps us out more than just about anybody. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, we've got this time capsule DVD. This was a summer project for Midge and I. We had an awful lot of fun making it. And Midge's cousin was able to come up with some 8mm footage from back in the day. So Midge and I were talking, well, how can we put this into some kind of a presentation that people would enjoy? So what we did is we came up with doing it as a talk show format where he and I are talking and we're rolling the footage, and anytime there was something or someone that we knew something about, we would freeze the frame and talk that person up or talk that situation up. Whatever information we had about them, we would talk that up. And we went for almost 2 hours like that.
Yeah.
And just freezing the frame. There's a lot of people that we knew that from back in the day to talk up. There was plenty of opportunities to talk people up, situations up. And by the way, this is footage from the Lancaster Grand Prix in 1971 and racing in Malone, New York in 1973.
Yeah.
So we've got this into almost 2 hours of, it literally is a time capsule from snowmobile racing back in the heyday in the early 70s.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun making it, and I think you'll have a lot of fun viewing it.
It's great. I think it's the best one we've done. One of the best we've done.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And what I'm doing to sweeten the deal, so to speak, is if you can place the order, the information's in the description of this video, I'm going to sweeten it with some extra DVDs. So this is an extra DVD here. This is 3 episodes of the Vintage Snowmobile podcast from the 21-22 season. And then to sweeten it further, this is another DVD, 3 more episodes from the 22-23 season. So there's at least 3 hours of Vintage Snowmobile programming on each of these discs, plus 2 hours on this. So this is, 8 hours of Vintage Snowmobile programming? And I'm going to sound like the Ginsu guy and say, but wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more.
There's more.
Yeah.
No, we also do a muscle car podcast. And we've got 3 episodes of the Muscle Car podcast on this DVD from the previous season. There's another 3 hours. So that's 8 plus 3, that's 11 hours of programming. 9 hours, 8 hours of Vintage Snowmobile programming, another 3 hours of Muscle Car programming, all for $15 plus $5 to ship. So $20 gets you this care package from these gentlemen you're looking at right here. And it's a wonderful way to support the Hall of Fame.
It helps support this, folks.
Yes, it also supports Crane Snowmobile Museum and the Vintage Snowmobile podcast. So if you enjoy any or all of these things, it's a wonderful way to support us. The funds we generate with this are divided 3 ways between those entities, the Hall of Fame, Crane Snowmobile Museum, and the Vintage Snowmobile podcast.
Yeah.
and I hope you will decide to pick up one of these.
Yeah.
Plus the bonus DVDs. It's what, 11 hours of programming? That'll keep you busy on your DVD player for quite a while.
Yeah.
You'll wear a
rainy
groove in your
day
couch.
or cold, 30 below zero or something like that. Someday you could sit down and watch them, and
you can wear a groove in your couch, binge watching. all of these episodes.
Yeah.
And it'll be worth it. Thank you in advance for your support on this.
Yeah.
And the address of where to mail a check is in the description, and we thank you so much for your support. Cool.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, folks. This is morning for us here. You're in the mid-Rosebrook house in the kitchen with Mike LaPierre, who's our cameraman today. And by the way, Vintage Snowmobile Lovers is the official media outlet for the Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, and always has been. So, and he was down for the going away party for NBR Racing at the motel last night. So he came up this morning, and we thought it'd be kind of neat to maybe show you folks how we put these plaques together. And I've done about there's over 30 on the wall right now, so I've done over 60, maybe middle 60 of them. And so it's quite a little process, and so I thought I'd show you people, and if you're doing big frame pictures and things like that, it might give you some ideas on how to do it, because what happens is when you get something real big, after a while, the photo will wrinkle, and you look a little kind of wavy if the light hits it just right. So, and that happened to me on our first plaques, because I didn't know what I was doing, basically. So, I'll show you some the processes of how we do this. Is I get some cardboard, and you can get it in big sections at the dollar store, and sometimes they come in 11 by 14 sections, which is kind of cool, because you have to cut them down if they're big. But this came out of a big section, and I cut out a whole bunch of them so that I'd have them on hand. And what we do when we have a photo on photo paper, I take this special spray adhesive. It's made special for hobbies and things like that, for paper, spraying paper. And what I do is I take this, and I'm not going to do it in here, but I just show you what I do. You shake it up, and then I go outside and I spray that cardboard in pretty good shape. Not a lot, but just mist it on. And then I come back in here, and I've usually got newspapers out so I don't get any on the counter. And I lay that down there like that. And then I take the photo, and I also make these slightly bigger than the photo, and because this way here, if it's a little bit off, you still have the cardboard behind it, because once that touches that cardboard, that's just not going anywhere. So I'll stick that down like that on the edge. Then I take this roller, and I roll it out. I roll it out like that, and back and forth a few times. And that's stuck to that cardboard, so that when that goes inside the frame, you won't get that wrinkle effect after a while. It kind of holds it straight. Now, some people use styrofoam, which is a little thicker, but styrofoam is a little too thick for these type of frames, the way these are designed on the back. So this seems to work good for me. So just to show you, that's what I do when I'm getting ready to put them in the frames. Then I set it aside and let it dry, and then take some scissors and I trim the edges so that when I get them in here, it fits perfectly. So these, and then here's another thing too. You've probably heard me maybe when we have our inductions and stuff, talking about how tough it is to get photos and things from some of these guys. They didn't have a lot of really decent photos taken of them. The best ones, I think, were probably from Timberland Machines. Bob Bottoms always made sure that his Timberland Machines team had professionally done photos at the beginning of every year. They were holding their helmets and they got their suits on, or they're standing beside the sled and stuff like that. There's very few teams that ever went that far. So real good photos is far and few between. Just case in point, our 20, when did we do George Gordon? 2020?
I think so.
George Gordon, who was inducted a few years ago. This is the photo when he sent his resume. That's the only good photo that we had that I could get out of his resume. That's the size of it. I mean, it's like a big postage stamp. So you end up using up a lot of photo paper because you have to enlarge it from, just keep doing it in steps, and you end up with one like that, and eventually you wind up with that.
Wow.
In order to fit the plaque. And when I saw that, this is coming out of a magazine, so it's the photo has all those little dots in it, you know, like they do when they put them in newspapers, magazines.
Yeah.
It's a whole series of little dots closer together than some of. So the more I enlarged that, the more those little dots showed. And you know what? This is probably one of my favorite photos because it looks like pen and ink.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It absolutely is one of the better ones, I think. And so anyway, that's George Gordon, and that's how I did it. And here's another one of Ronnie Hall. His photo was taken with his team, and when I wanted to do Ronnie, I wanted to individualize, just go down to Ron. So I cut out most of the other section for that, and then I enlarged it to this. I enlarged it to that, and then I went from that to the 8x10 to fit the frame. So this is a process we have to go through on a lot of these things. And just to give you a perspective on, we spent quite a lot of time trying to get these things to look right. And another thing too, we have this member of our Eastern Snowmobile Hall of Fame page right now that he joined maybe a year ago or so, is Michael Maggie Hoyt. And I don't know if it's Mike or Maggie that's doing these, but that's his Facebook handle, is Michael Maggie Hoyt, Michael Slash. And he does very well with touching up these photos, very well. And so I'll send him a photo, and he'll doctor it up and make it look really, really good. So we really appreciate their work for helping us get these plaques ready. All right, I'm going to start by pulling these two frames apart. They always ship them with two frames together, glass to glass. I'm sure it's probably just so that the glass won't break while they're being shipped. So, and they also put cardboard in the corners, which helps support them too. And you just have to peel this plastic off. All right, there's the frame. That's how we get them. It's just like that. And I pull the corners off. And flip it over. And these little tabs bend up kind of tough. And my fingernails, I don't have really good fingernails, so I really can't get under them that well. So what I do is I just use my jackknife to grab them, pick them up, flip them out. We searched and searched for double 8x10 frames online, and this was the best setup that we found. They're really consistent in the size of their frames and everything. So they've been working pretty well for us. And here's the backing. It's just a piece of cardboard. And then here's the mat. That's the mat right there. And what I do is I take these photos and their resumes right inside of these mats. And I do it like this. Again, even on their resumes, I glue them to that cardboard backing just like I do the photos, so they're good and stiff. And so then we put this under here like this. And get it straight, get it even. I do these all by eyesight. I don't measure. You get it about as close as you can get it. And that looks pretty good there. So then I slide it over to the edge. And Scotch tape is the best as far as I can see. The brand name Scotch is always better than some of the off-brand tapes. So we always go with that if we can. Okay, let's take that. Alright, so that's taped. Then I pick it up like this. I fold it over. Take this side. Then I look at it again to make sure it's straight. straight. So then I continue taping it. I'll tape it in the middle on this side. Tape it here. And then I tape the corners. Keeps it nice and flush against the mat once it's inside the frame. And once it's inside the frame, probably don't even need tape because it's nice and tight inside that cardboard, but this tape is what keeps it straight and even. Okay, there's that. So now we go on to the photo. And the photo is done the same way. Sometimes, like right now, I'm going to have to cut it. Oh yeah. So I flip it over. And I'll take like this. I have to cut a little bit of the bottom off. So give room for the tape. Okay. So again, I line it up. Get it as straight as possible here. This is a great photo, by the way, and the reason is the person that sent me all of this stuff is actually a professional photographer, and a very good one.
That helps.
Yeah, and I'll introduce you to this one at some point when I get done here. But this is very tedious work to get this straight.
Yeah, you can't rush that. Just take your time.
Yeah.
Make sure.
Well, you can't, cut the heads off. And okay, I think that's done good right there. All right, now we take this side. And we look at it to make sure that isn't moved. Okay, it looks good. So now we finish taping it. Yeah, I do two each of these.
Yeah.
One for the inductee and one for the wall.
One for the wall.
Yeah, so.
The Wall of Fame for the Hall of Fame.
Wall of Fame.
For the Hall of Fame.
That's right. And these frames, although they're not super expensive, they are pricey when you buy 10. So, and thanks to the people that come to our inductions and the people that buy our t-shirts, are the ones that buy these frames. Because that's where we get our money from, basically, is to do t-shirt sales. So we appreciate people helping us out. Okay, now I've got this in, and what you do is you look at it very closely for any kind of dirt, any hair or anything like that. A little speck of dirt shows right up on this white. So you really have to make sure that there's no lint or anything. So I look that all over, and that looks pretty good. And then I take this Norwex cloth and I go over the glass, get any smudges that might be on that. Just wipe that down. This works very good on glass. It shines it right up, takes any smudges out, and great stuff. Then I hold it up to the light. Get the light to reflect off it. So you can see if there's any smudges. Some of these might also be on the other side. Okay, that's about as good as I can get it, I guess. And then I introduce this to the frame, and before I do anything else, I flip it over again, and I examine it. As I have in the past rushed things and put them inside the frame and put the cardboard all on them and bent the tabs all down, and then I flip it over and there's a speck of dirt right in there.
Oh, yeah.
I got to take it all apart again. So the best thing to do,
yeah, take your time and do it right the first time.
And make sure it's clean.
Yeah.
And now it's ready for the cardboard. And what I do is I even just bend maybe 4 of these over, and then I look at it again. And it looks pretty darn good. So I'll also take the edge of my knife and kind of squeeze them into the cardboard. Keep it nice and tight. Another way we help fund this thing, folks, is through our DVD sales. And Mike has a set of DVDs from each induction that we've done since 2017. This for sale for like $60, which is really worth it because you've got all of these guys that are on the wall right now in DVDs forever. And we're going to wrap this frame up here. This little tab is what hooks it onto the wall. And I'm not going to install it right now, but what I do is I measure center of the frame, and then I get this right in the center. And you take a little hammer and you just tap each side of that to drive it into the wood.
You get a close up on that.
Yeah, they work pretty darn good.
Put that down there again if you would, where you had it.
Yeah.
There we go, and you just tap that down with a hammer.
Tap that down.
It goes into the wood.
These frames are quite light, so in fact, this is what we use when we put them on the wall at the museum. This is all we've ever used. And what's nice about this is versus, you know, the little hooks with the cable that runs across like that. You can use that, but the problem is with that, the length of it can be off, you know, a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch on your cable. So in order to put them on the wall and have them all look even all the way across, it would be very difficult to do that with a cable.
Yeah.
So
it's a constant battle to keep that straight.
Yeah, but these little things here, you put them all in the same place, so that when you put them on the hook for the wall, chances are you don't have to fidget to get the right height and everything like that. So
center's a lot easier.
Good. And I'm not gonna nail that on.
So we've got
Mike LaPierre, folks, a guy that helps us out more than just about anybody. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, we've got this time capsule DVD. This was a summer project for Midge and I. We had an awful lot of fun making it. And Midge's cousin was able to come up with some 8mm footage from back in the day. So Midge and I were talking, well, how can we put this into some kind of a presentation that people would enjoy? So what we did is we came up with doing it as a talk show format where he and I are talking and we're rolling the footage, and anytime there was something or someone that we knew something about, we would freeze the frame and talk that person up or talk that situation up. Whatever information we had about them, we would talk that up. And we went for almost 2 hours like that.
Yeah.
And just freezing the frame. There's a lot of people that we knew that from back in the day to talk up. There was plenty of opportunities to talk people up, situations up. And by the way, this is footage from the Lancaster Grand Prix in 1971 and racing in Malone, New York in 1973.
Yeah.
So we've got this into almost 2 hours of, there literally is a time capsule from snowmobile racing back in the heyday, in the early 70s.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun making it, and I think you'll have a lot of fun viewing it.
It's great. I think it's the best one we've done. One of the best we've done.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And what I'm doing to sweeten the deal, so to speak, is if you can place the order, the information's in the description of this video, I'm going to sweeten it with some extra DVDs. So this is an extra DVD here. This is 3 episodes of the Vintage Snowmobile podcast from the 21-22 season. And then to sweeten it further, this is another DVD, 3 more episodes from the 22-23 season. So there's at least 3 hours of Vintage Snowmobile programming on each of these discs, plus 2 hours on this. So this is, 8 hours of Vintage Snowmobile programming. And I'm going to sound like the Ginsu guy and say, but wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more.
There's more.
Yeah.
No, we also do a muscle car podcast. And we've got 3 episodes of the muscle car podcast on this DVD from the previous season. There's another 3 hours. So that's 8 plus 3, that's 11 hours of programming. 9 hours, 8 hours of Vintage Snowmobile programming, another 3 hours of muscle car programming, all for $15 plus $5 to ship. So $20 gets you this care package from these gentlemen you're looking at right here. And it's a wonderful way to support the Hall of Fame.
It helps support this, folks.
Yes, it also supports Crane Snowmobile Museum and the Vintage Snowmobile Podcast. So if you enjoy any or all of these things, it's a wonderful way to support us. The funds we generate with this are divided 3 ways between those entities, the Hall of Fame, Crane Snowmobile Museum, and the Vintage Snowmobile Podcast.
Yeah.
And I hope you will decide to pick up one of these.
Yeah.
Plus the bonus DVDs. It's 11 hours of programming. That'll keep you busy on your DVD player for quite a while.
Yeah.
You'll wear a
rainy
groove in your
day
couch.
or cold, 30 below 0 or something like that. Someday you could sit down and watch them, and
you can wear a groove in your couch, binge watching. All of these episodes.
Yeah.
And it'll be worth it. Thank you in advance for your support on this.
Yeah.
And the address of where to mail a check is in the description, and we thank you so much for your support.